Welcome to my rundown of patch 85. Main changes. Gear score brackets have been completely revised. Brackets are no longer based on gear score, but are based on rarity of items. Now we have two norms brackets, the common gear only bracket, basically recurrence of 24s, and rare max lobbies. Kind of like 124, but this is going to be probably way more than that. This, I believe, includes meds. You can bring rare bandages and rare pots into that lobby, as many as you like. An HR bracket for epic max, and uncapped, which includes artifacts. I'm happy to see common gear lobbies return. I think that was a pretty essential part of the game. I think most people like these lobbies being available, and now that adventure mode is available for newbies, I think it totally makes sense to have this come back. And yeah, I honestly think this is probably better than doing gear score. Next, religion is now live. Here are the max rolls for every religion and the relative value that you're getting essentially when it comes to main stats. I think cooldowns is the most relevant for combat and even non-combat interactions. This actually helps pickpocket rogue on top of everything. And druid, transformations, sorcerer cast speeds, any abilities that you have, this is going to be a fantastic improvement. This time religion rewards are maxed at 100k instead of last season's 200k. For the skin, there's no halfway point emote, but there is an untradeable chest you unlock at 80k, and the skin is +1 Vig, -1 Agi, which is actually not bad. They also improved donations, so you can see how much gold it's going to cost you to donate, and it shows you your current total gold in your stash, so you know what portion you're spending out of your total. And the last big change is there's no longer a purchase cap on throwables. That includes Francesca axes, throwing knives, and hunting traps, so you no longer have to wait for rotations and can just spam purchasing 10 at a time whenever you want. Next, HR. Mystical gems used to not drop in Goblin Caves HR, now they do, supposedly. There was a weird bug with projectile damage reduction where if you had 100% from unique gear, the 50% reduction on the body shot would go on top, and the arrow shot would actually heal you instead of dealing damage to you, which was of course not intended, so they patched that. The regular hall stairs used to be blocked, but now they're open. Some artifacts were dropping in 224s, so that's not happening anymore. And supposedly the minimum amount of ore in HR was incorrect. It should be 4 to 6, but maybe they changed it. The adventure mode, Hydra, being able to interrupt interaction for pulling pile, has been supposedly patched. And Skill Champ used to be able to apparently drop legendaries. Alright, time for class changes. Barbarian is getting a full load of buffs this patch. Savage Roar now additionally applies a -30 move speed debuff. Insane. The Berserker perk now grants 3 move speed per 10% missing HP on top of the damage. Blood Exchange has been completely reworked, no longer granting HP per hit, but now instead granting action speed at the cost of 15% max HP. And I'm pretty sure Blood Exchange now does not require a campfire to recharge. I don't think anyone's going to run this over the other options. Savage, which is the shirtless perk, now grants 1 impact resistance. I think this is so you can go Ooga Booga Caveman with club and round shield, giving round shield that 1 extra impact resistance to make it as functional as a heater. Treacherous Lunds now increase shouts durations by 50% instead of 30%. Bardiche is now considered an axe, so any axe spell synchronization perks will now synergize with Bardiche. And the damage is up on Felon Axe, Battle Axe, and Double Axe. I think I know which class SDF is playing lately. Druid. Panther Dash now has 2 charges, which is insane. Form's damage taper off at high end, so the scaling on all the animals has been changed. This is not reflected in the tooltips in game, but supposedly it does taper off, and the scaling is a little worse than before, which makes the high end damage a little bit more bearable to deal with. Spirit Bond transfer now 20%. This is the perk that transfers damage from your teammates to you for Healer Druid. Shapeshift Mastery now reduces spell power by 50%. This is the damage aspect, so your damage is going to go down. You can still use heals with Shapeshift Mastery to heal yourself. You're just not going to have the range option of spells for peeling as much anymore. Bear left click has been slowed down by a pretty noticeable chunk. It's going to be a little easier to weave in attacks in between. Probably best to just go with M2 at that point, honestly. It's pretty much almost as slow as right clicking. Panther left click has been kind of slowed, or you can't switch between left and right click as easily, I think. Force of Nature grants now 5 fist power instead of 3. This is whenever you would heal a target. Mainly this taper off I think is going to make a big difference, but the Panther having 2 dashes is just crazy now. Okay, Sorcerer. Massive buff. All cast times are now 0.75 seconds. This is pretty crazy. Every Sorc spell was at least 0.75 cast time and going up to about 1.25. So this is a huge buff for bigger spells, but it's matched with a cooldown nerf, a massive nerf to Sorc. Cooldown formula now is 3 seconds base plus 3 times the tier. This means tier 1 and tier 2 spells got a nerf, so definitely a big hit to the short cooldown low tier spells, which kind of evens out Sorc so that all spells feel a little bit more even to use, which I think is overall healthy for the class to make it all options a bit more viable overall, but it's definitely going to hurt the spamability of some of the best spells. And then Time Distortion, even though it was already dead, they made sure that it's literally as dead as possible. I'm gonna let you guys read it if you want. So no one was using Time Distort. I guess that's what they wanted. I think overall this is healthy for Sorcerer. Sorcerer was already leaning mostly on a knowledge build. I wish it wasn't this high of a cooldown on low tier spells. I think they should lower this to like 2, but I'm sure with the current gear power level, this is not that big a deal. Rogue, minus 5% damage on Dagger Mastery, going from 15% to 10%. Most people run Strength Rogue in Arena, I'm pretty sure, so that they can 2-tap everybody. So I could see this being due to that. Castellan Daggers once again on the rise. Crit damage is down, and Stiletto damage is down. And lastly, we have slight damage nerfs on Flan Mason Morningstar for your Cleric to kind of pad down Cleric's damage just a little bit. Barbarian might just be back. Cleric might get outclassed. We'll have to see, but honestly, those barb buffs are pretty crazy. Alright, gear. Rondell has gotten a 1 damage nerf. Pretty big deal for a lot of people. I don't like the Rondell meta, so I'm pretty happy with this change. Warhammer attack pattern has been changed. The second swing is now the same diagonal but from the left, and the third and fourth swing are, I believe, are unchanged. I think that's kind of a nerf. I think Warhammer's swinging more vertically is better. Horseman's axe resized, visually thicker on the handle and the shaft of the weapon. Rapier has been returned to its former glory, reverting the damage nerf from before. You know what weapon on here doesn't have its damage reverted? Longsword. Rest in peace, Longsword. Zweihander damage is up slightly. Warmaul damage is up significantly. I believe it's up to 60 plus damage now on like rare and epics, which is pretty wild high. And Bardetian Halberd got damage increase. And then Crystal Ball, Wizard Staff, spell power is down. Lantern Shield damage is down a little bit. Other changes. Arena would crash when you would finish a round and try to switch characters consistently would be a problem. Supposedly this has been addressed. Usually most fixes like these are not actually addressed when they say they are, so it might not be, sorry. Extra coin bags that they said would be deleted have been deleted, and the coins have been sent to Expressman, so if you want the money from the bags, just go to Expressman to retrieve it. Leave Party now has a confirm window that pops up, so you don't misclick Leave Party instead of Class Change, which those buttons are pretty close to each other. I've done that before. Arena new modules have been added and removed some of the current modules. We'll just have to see what that is. Arena, if you're under 1800 score, you can now match with anyone under 1800 score, making matchmaking a little easier when you're just getting into it. Grim Smiles now cost 5 golden teeth to craft instead of just the 1. And an interesting fix where the spear used to have a tooltip as if it was an artifact, and so they fixed that, but that might mean that they're working on an artifact spear, which would be pretty sick. And hidden changes, Squire got the quick prepare tab back, but honestly the buy sets is infinitely better. If you're in your Squire and you want to get rid of your Squire stuff, you just pick a set that doesn't have anything in it and the Squire will just take everything off for free. I don't think quick prepare was ever really good. And that's pretty much it. So the TLDR brackets now limit what rarity you can bring in, not how much gear you can bring in, which includes meds, so bring as many rare meds as you like into norms. So the brackets are now common, rare for norms, and epic and uncapped for HR. The best religion is probably Solaris. It's 100k to get everything unlocked. Throwables are now infinitely purchasable. No need to wait for a shop. HR Mystic Gems now drop. Projectile damage reduction bug was fixed. Great Hall has ruined stairs now. Adventure mode Hydra interrupting interaction might have been patched. Barbarian buffs are crazy, with the most notable Savage Roar reducing move speed by 30, Berserker granting move speed on less health, and Treacherous Lunge going up to 50% duration. And Bardisha is now an axe. Druid Panther now has 2 dashes. At the high end, scaling is worse. And now when you cast spells with Shapeshift Mastery on, they will basically deal no damage. Sorcerer cast times are now all equalized at 0.75, but cooldowns of low tier spells are much higher. Time Distortion is still dead. Dagger Mastery got a nerf, and Cleric Mace is slightly nerfed. Lots of gear changes with Rondell losing 1 damage. Rapier's damage nerf got reverted. 2-handers are on the up. And that's pretty much it. I think the gear score change is very good for the market and the health of the game. I'm super happy to have Squire PvP returning. I think these are healthy changes for Sorcerer. They're moving in the right direction. Just keep making the class a little bit more fluid to play. No one enjoys just sitting around waiting for spells to come back that they want to cast. No other class has to wait a flat amount of time to play the game. So gatekeeping cooldowns I think is bad. I'm really happy with the Rondell nerf. I don't think Rondell gameplay is that interesting. I'm much more excited about boxing opponents rather than just DPSing them down. And Rondell I think is overall a DPS check weapon. So I'm for the nerfs. And I'm super happy to see Rapier come back. And yeah, all hail Barbarian. Leave a like if you found this helpful. Comment your thoughts on the patch. And make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified when the next one comes out. And I'll see you in the dungeons.